Okay, hello everyone. So next topic is motion in gravity. Now remember you already know all three equations of motion and we can use those three equations in gravity because in gravitational field value of acceleration is constant. So how to use all those three equations of motion, let's discuss when we are discussing motion under gravity. So remember while solving questions for motion under gravity, you have to remember that the point from which you will release the ball, or from the point from which you will launch an object, that point should be taken 0 comma 0, and the direction upward will be positive, downward will be negative, on right hand side will be positive, on left hand side will be negative. I explained to you how to use this convention in numerical. And also always remember that acceleration due to gravity will always be towards south, toward this direction. So A should always be taken negative. So A will be taken to be minus 10 meter per second square. The reason is acceleration is always downwards. So A will be always negative in nature. Okay. Now you have to first understand the meaning of the symbols. Like in this equation, S is equal to ut plus half at square. This S is not distance. This S is displacement. Displacement means how much far is your particle from the point of projection. So if the particle is upwards, displacement will be positive. If the particle is downwards, displacement will be negative. So this S is what? This is displacement. Okay. And so if S is negative, then particle is below. If V is negative, now remember what is the meaning of V? V is final velocity. So if V is negative, it means the particle is traveling in downward direction. And if V is positive, the particle is traveling in upward direction. Similarly, if S is positive, the particle is upward of point of projection. If S is negative, the particle is below point of projection. And if S is 0, it means the particle is at point of projection. Now, how to use all these concepts while solving numerical? So the first, if you see, a particle is launched with 20 meter per second in upward direction. So U will be plus 20 because the particle is launched in upward direction and upward direction is positive. Find the time it takes to again reach the point of projection. Now acceleration will be minus 10, I'll tell you, because acceleration is always downwards. Now find the time it takes to again reach the point of projection. It means the particle will start from this point, it will reach to some height, and it will again come to the same point. So displacement will be 0 because initial and final position is same. So S will be equal to 0, U will be 20, A will be minus 10. If you solve this equation, you will get the time to be equal to 4 seconds. So the time of travel will be 4 seconds. So see how elegantly we have used the sign convention to solve this question in just 3 steps. Else what you have to do is you have to just you have to find out the time taken in first step, then time taken in second step, then you have to add both the time. So if we use the sign convention well, then we can shorten the number of steps. Okay. So a particle is released from top floor of a building of height h. Find time taken to reach ground and velocity when it reaches ground. So a particle is released. It is just released. You haven't pushed the particle. So U will be 0. A, I have already told you, A will always be negative. So A will be minus G minus 10. And if you release the particle from this point and it will reach the bottom, so displacement will be minus h because the particle is in downward direction now. So when the particle will reach the ground, it will be at this position. So what will be the displacement? H in negative y direction. So displacement is minus h. So putting value of s, putting value of u, putting value of a, the time comes out to be root 2h by g. You have to remember this formula. This formula is very important. And what will be the velocity? So v is u plus at, u is 0, a is minus g, t is root 2h by g. Now see, the v is negative. It means the particle, when the particle will reach the ground, it will be traveling in this direction. And logic also says the same point because the ball will be traveling in negative y direction. So v comes out to be negative. Okay, let's solve one more numerical. So a particle is thrown in air with velocity 60 meter per second. After 1 second, another particle is thrown with 60 meter per second. Find distance between them after 2 seconds of launch of second particle. So after 2 seconds of launch of second particle, it means the first particle has traveled for 3 seconds and the second particle has only traveled for 2 seconds. So the for first particle u will be plus 60 because the particle is launched in upward direction. A will be minus 10, t will be 3. So we can calculate the displacement of first particle. Similarly, we can calculate displacement of second particle because in second particle will take time to be equal to 2 seconds and the difference will give the distance between the two particles. So this is how you have to solve questions related to motion under gravity. So what I'll do is I'm sending you a sheet today in which there are close to 10 questions. You have to solve all 10, and if you have any doubt in any of the 10 questions, you can send it to me on WhatsApp. But remember, the sign convention is very important while solving questions of motion under gravity. So A will always be equal to minus 10. If the particle is launched upwards, you will be positive. If the particle is launched downwards, you will be negative. So these are very important concepts.